Hello everyone, and welcome to today's session on operational plan and organizational development. In this lesson, we'll define what an operational plan is, examine its key components, and discuss why it plays such a vital role in organizational success. We will also look at how to consult with stakeholders, manage resources effectively, and comply with important legislation such as fair trading and workplace health and safety laws. By the end of the session, you'll have a clear understanding of how to design and implement an operational plan that supports business growth, ensures efficiency, and minimizes risks. Let's begin. Let's begin by looking at what an operational plan actually is. An operational plan is essential for any organization because it sets out how the business will run its day-to-day activities while also working towards its short-term and long-term strategic goals. You can think of it as the practical engine room of the organization. It keeps things moving steadily on a daily basis, but always with a clear eye on the bigger picture. Typically, an operational plan covers a one-year period. This time frame is short enough to provide detailed direction, but long enough to make meaningful progress. Importantly, the operational plan must be directly aligned with the organization's strategic plan. In other words, every action laid out in the operational plan should contribute to the bigger strategic objectives. For example, if the strategic plan sets out a goal of expanding into international markets within 5 years, then the operational plan for this year might include actions such as researching potential markets, building supplier relationships overseas, or hiring staff with global experience. In essence, the operational plan acts as the roadmap that ensures the organization's vision is not just aspirational, but achievable. Development and approval of operational plan. Once we understand what an operational plan is, the next step is to see how it is developed and approved. Operational plans are usually prepared by senior staff members, especially in organizations where paid staff are present. This makes sense because senior staff often have a clearer view of resources, priorities, and the overall direction of the organization. However, even though they draft the plan, the process is not complete until it has been formally endorsed. Approval must come from the management committee. This endorsement gives the plan authority and ensures that it aligns with the organization's governance and strategic direction. Finally, progress against the operational plan must be reviewed regularly. By reporting on how the plan is being implemented, the management committee can track whether the organization is on course to achieve its strategic aims and objectives. Link with organizational budget. Now that we know how an operational plan is developed and approved, let's talk about one of the most critical aspects: its connection to the organization's budget. An operational plan must always be aligned with the budget. Even the most well-designed plan will fail if there are not enough resources to support it. It's also important to avoid being overly ambitious. While it's good to aim high, objectives should be realistic and achievable within the organization's financial capacity. In addition, the budget needs to be actively monitored throughout the year. This means regularly checking that income and expenditure are on track, making adjustments where necessary, and ensuring that financial commitments are met. For example, if a project's costs start to exceed initial estimates, managers may need to reallocate resources or phase the project differently. Operational plan, definition, and focus. We've seen how the operational plan links to the budget. Let's explore its definition and focus on greater depth. An operational plan is not just a simple outline. It is an elaborate, detailed plan outlining steps, procedures, and budgets for each team member, section, and department. In other words, it explains who does what, how they will do it, and what resources they will need. The central aim of the operational plan is to achieve the organization's strategic goals within a specific time frame. Unlike the broader strategic plan, which might cover 3 to 5 years, the operational plan zooms in on what needs to be delivered in a defined period, often 1 year. Its purpose is twofold. First, it describes milestones, success criteria, and a specific strategic plan for a specific period. Second, it provides a clear and actionable framework that managers and staff can follow to ensure projects and activities are carried out successfully. For example, the strategic plan may say, "We want to expand our market share in the Asia-Pacific region." The operational plan would then specify actions such as conducting market research in Singapore, hiring 2 regional sales representatives, setting up distribution agreements, and allocating a marketing budget for local campaigns, all within a given year. Operational plan, definition, and focus. An operational plan is not only about writing down tasks and budgets, it also requires us to ask the right questions, which guide the entire planning process. There are 4 critical questions to focus on. First, where are we now? This means taking stock of the organization's current position. Second, where do we want to be? This question sets the destination. It's about defining the goals and outcomes we want to achieve within the period of the operational plan. Third, how do we get there? This step involves identifying the strategies, action items, and resources needed to move from the current state to the desired future state. It's the roadmap that translates ideas into action. And finally, how do we measure our progress? This is about setting clear performance indicators to track whether we are on course. For example, we might measure customer satisfaction scores, revenue growth, or production efficiency. By asking and answering these 4 questions, organizations ensure that their operational plan is not just a document, but a living guide that directs action, monitors progress, and keeps everyone focused on the same outcomes. Operational plan. Significance. Let's now discuss why an operational plan is so important for an organization. Firstly, it helps the team to be clear about the necessary resources and their sources. This means knowing exactly what is required, whether it's financial investment, human skills, or physical assets, and where those resources will come from. Secondly, it ensures that resources are used efficiently. Resources are often limited, so the plan helps avoid duplication of effort, waste, or overspending. A well-structured operational plan ensures that every pound, every hour of work, and every piece of equipment is directed towards activities that add value. And thirdly, it enables the organization to identify and reduce risks. Risks are an inevitable part of business, whether financial, operational, or external, such as changes in the market. By anticipating these risks, the operational plan allows the team to prepare contingency strategies. For instance, if a supplier fails to deliver raw materials, a contingency plan might involve having a second supplier on standby. In short, the significance of the operational plan lies in its ability to provide clarity, efficiency, and resilience, 3 elements that are essential for achieving organizational goals successfully. Key components of an operational plan. Every strong operational plan is built on a set of essential components. Without them, the plan risks being incomplete or unworkable. To ensure success, the plan must cover several areas, including project goals and objectives, detailed action items, key stakeholders, key performance indicators, budget requirements, human resource requirements, physical resources requirements, and risk mitigation and contingency plan. Taken together, these components transform an operational plan into a practical roadmap, one that guides the organization from intention to execution with clarity and confidence. Key components of an operational plan. To make an operational plan truly effective, it must begin with clear goals and objectives. These set the direction and define what the organization is aiming to achieve. Goals act like the destination on a map, while objectives provide the stepping stones to get there. But having goals alone is not enough. To reach them, the plan must specify detailed action items. These are the day-to-day tasks and activities required to move the organization forward. Each action should directly connect back to goals, ensuring there is no wasted effort. Together, goals, objectives, and action items ensure that the operational plan is not just aspirational, but practical, with every step mapped out towards the desired result. Key components of an operational plan. In any operational plan, identifying the key stakeholders is essential. These are the people or groups directly involved in delivering the project. They could include the organization's staff, supervisors, managers, suppliers, or even distributors. To avoid confusion, it's important that their roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. For example, The organizational structure may specify that the project manager is responsible for overseeing deadlines, while suppliers are responsible for ensuring materials arrive on time. Clear definitions of responsibility help ensure accountability and smooth coordination. The second element here is the timeline. This sets out the overall time frame for the project and provides structure for how activities will unfold. A strong timeline often includes a work breakdown structure, which breaks the project into milestones and distinct phases. Key components of an operational plan. Two further components of an operational plan are key performance indicators and budget requirements. Let's begin with the key performance indicators, or KPIs. These are used to identify exactly what needs to be achieved. More importantly, they provide a measurable value that shows whether the organization is making progress towards its objectives. By setting KPIs, the plan establishes clear benchmarks that can be tracked over time. Next, we turn to budget requirements. Every project requires funding, and the operational plan must outline the estimated budget needed to carry out its activities. This includes current sources of income, as well as potential sources such as grants, loans, or partnerships. If a funding gap exists, the plan should also provide strategies to address it. For example, if projected costs exceed income, the organization may consider phasing activities, seeking additional investors, or reallocating resources from less critical areas. Key components of an operational plan. Next, an operational plan must outline the human resources needed to deliver the project. This begins by identifying the skill sets and the number of people required. For example, a technology project may need software developers, project managers, and technical support staff. Once this is defined, the organization must take account of the staff already available and assess whether additional recruitment, training, or outsourcing is necessary. It's also important to specify the timeline for when these human resources are required. Some roles may be essential from the start, while others may only be needed at later stages of the project. Alongside people, we must also consider physical resources. These are the goods, equipment, and services that the project will rely on. The plan should clearly identify what is needed and how it will be acquired. This includes stock requirements and requisition plans, as well as the methods for purchasing and ordering items. For instance, a construction project may require specific machinery on-site by a certain date, or a retail business might need to pre-order seasonal stock in advance. By addressing both human and physical resource requirements, the operational plan ensures that the right people and the right tools are in place at the right time. Key components of an operational plan. No matter how carefully a project is planned, there will always be risks. That's why every operational plan must address risk mitigation and contingency planning. The first step is to identify the possible risks that could affect the project. These might include delays in supply delivery, unexpected staff shortages, technical failures, or changes in customer demand. Once identified, a mitigation plan must be developed to reduce the likelihood or the impact of each risk. For example, if supplier delays are a risk, the mitigation plan might involve working with multiple suppliers instead of relying on just one. However, some risks are rare but potentially catastrophic. For these, the plan must go further and include a contingency plan. This is a backup strategy that the organization can put into action if the unexpected does occur. By preparing for both everyday risks and exceptional scenarios, the operational plan strengthens resilience and ensures that the project can continue, even when faced with disruption. Consultation with stakeholders. An operational plan cannot be created in isolation. It must involve consultation with stakeholders. The consultation plan should be developed and managed alongside the stakeholders who are affected by the operational plan. This ensures that their perspectives, needs, and concerns are taken into account before decisions are finalized. Without consultation, a plan risks being unrealistic, or worse, resisted by those who have to implement it. Engagement should happen at both internal and external levels, depending on the project. The key is to gather input, align objectives, and build commitment. For example, consulting with frontline employees may reveal practical challenges that managers haven't considered, while engaging external suppliers may highlight potential risks in the supply chain. By involving stakeholders throughout the process, the organization not only designs a stronger plan, but also gains broader support for its implementation. Consultation with stakeholders. When we talk about consultation, it's important to recognize that stakeholders exist both inside and outside the organization. Let's start with internal stakeholders. These include employees at both operational and senior levels who will be directly involved in carrying out the plan. Colleagues who may contribute support or share responsibilities across teams. Managers and supervisors who guide performance and ensure alignment with organizational goals. And specialists such as occupational health and safety committees or training and development teams who provide expertise in key areas. Consulting with these groups ensures that the plan is practical and takes account of the realities faced within the organization. Next, we have the external stakeholders. These are groups outside the organization, but still critical to its success, such as contractors, customers, and suppliers. Contractors may provide specific services. Customers offer valuable feedback on needs and expectations, and suppliers ensure that essential goods and resources are delivered on time. By engaging both internal and external stakeholders, the operational plan becomes well-rounded, balancing internal capabilities with external support and ensuring that everyone with a role in its success is included. Consultation with stakeholders. Successful consultation is not only about who you involve, but also how you communicate with them. This is where interpersonal skills become crucial. When working with stakeholders, it's important to communicate clearly, listen actively, and show respect for different viewpoints. Strong interpersonal skills help build trust and ensure that discussions are productive rather than confrontational. Equally important is the ability to communicate effectively with people from diverse backgrounds. Stakeholders may differ in cultural traditions, ethnic origins, social attributes, or even have specific needs that affect how they engage in discussions. By being mindful of these differences, we can adapt our approach, making sure that everyone feels included and valued. Consultation methods. When developing an operational plan, there are several methods of consultation that can be used to gather ideas, feedback, and support from stakeholders, including interviews, group interviews, facilitated sessions, questionnaires, brainstorming, and email and intranet communication. Each method has its own strengths and is suited to different situations. By combining different consultation methods, organizations can collect well-rounded input, making the operational plan both practical and widely supported. Consultation methods. One of the most effective ways to consult with stakeholders is through one-on-one interviews. These involve direct discussions with relevant individuals, allowing them to speak openly about their needs and expectations. The process often starts with open-ended questions that encourage the interviewee to share their perspective freely. Once the conversation begins, probing questions can be used to uncover specific requirements or issues that may not be immediately obvious. Alongside one-on-one conversations, organizations can also use group interviews. These are best suited when participants hold the same level of responsibility or share similar roles. By bringing people together in this way, it becomes possible to identify detailed resource requirements quickly. Consultation methods. Another effective consultation method is the use of facilitated sessions. In these sessions, stakeholders are brought together for a common purpose and guided by a facilitator. The structured approach makes it possible to generate standard requirements and inputs efficiently, capturing agreement across different participants. The strength of facilitated sessions lies in their flexibility. They can involve a small group or expand to include a much larger number of stakeholders, depending on the project's needs. For example, a facilitated session might bring together staff from different departments to align on resource allocation or workflow design. Alongside this, organizations often rely on questionnaires. These are particularly useful when input is required from a wide audience. Questionnaires allow for gathering feedback from many people quickly, including those with only minor involvement in the project. What makes questionnaires effective is that they capture perspectives regardless of the individual's level of input into the overall requirements. For instance, a short survey sent to employees could reveal common concerns about training or workload, even if those employees are not directly shaping the strategic direction. Consultation methods. Another widely used consultation method is brainstorming. This involves bringing together subject matter experts or team members to generate creative solutions and identify related resources. The real value of brainstorming lies in its ability to encourage open, innovative thinking without immediate judgment. Once ideas are generated, the group can then prioritize the best ideas to form the basis of initial requirements. For example, in a brainstorming session about improving customer engagement, participants might suggest ideas ranging from loyalty programs to mobile app improvements before narrowing down to the most practical and impactful options. Alongside face-to-face sessions, organizations can also use email and internet communication to gather input. This method is especially helpful when individuals cannot be present physically during the consultation process. Using these tools offers three main advantages, including helping maintain a record of the input provided, which can later be reviewed and referenced, ensuring consistent sharing of information so that all stakeholders receive the same updates, and allowing stakeholders to respond to concerns in their own time, making the process more inclusive and flexible. The consultation processes. When we look at consultation, it's not just about the methods we use, it's also about the principles that guide how consultation should be carried out. First, consultation must incorporate attentive listening, observing, and surveying the viewpoints and perspectives of staff. This is not a passive process. It requires genuine engagement. Stakeholders need to feel that their voices are being heard and that their contributions are valued. Second, consultation must happen before decisions are made. If consultation only takes place after decisions have already been finalized, it is no longer true consultation, it becomes a formality. Remember that organizations must avoid false consultation on pre-decided issues. When staff are asked for feedback on matters that have already been decided, it creates uncertainty, frustration, and distrust in the system. Employees may feel misled, which can damage morale and reduce their willingness to engage in future consultations. Therefore, genuine consultation means being open to input, considering it seriously, and ensuring that staff can influence decisions while they are still in progress. The consultation processes. When consulting with employees, it's important to recognize that not every suggestion can be implemented. Practical or budgetary constraints often mean that only some ideas can be taken forward. However, when suggestions are not adopted, it is essential to clearly explain the reasons. This transparency helps employees understand the decision-making process and prevents feelings of dismissal or exclusion. On the other hand, when employee input does lead to an improvement, organizations should give credit and acknowledgement. Recognizing staff contributions builds trust and encourages continued participation in consultation processes. Many organizations today integrate consultation into their day-to-day management. This can take two forms, including engaging directly with workers and indirectly through employee representatives. Consultation types. When organizations consult with employees, there are two main types of consultation: direct and indirect. Direct consultation happens through direct interaction with workers. This can take the form of informal discussions. For example, a manager having a conversation with a team member about challenges they are facing. It can also be more formalized, such as group meetings or structured workshops, where issues are raised, discussed, and solutions are developed collectively. This type of consultation helps managers stay connected to day-to-day realities and allows employees to voice their concerns openly. Indirect consultation, on the other hand, takes place through employee representatives. This approach is particularly effective when it is organized within a formally constituted forum, such as a joint consultative board or a joint working party. These forums provide structure, ensure fairness, and give employees confidence that their views are being presented in an organized and recognized manner. By using both direct and indirect consultation, organizations strike a balance between open, personal communication and structured representative dialogue. This combination ensures that employees at every level have a voice in the decision-making process. Consultation tools. To carry out effective consultation, organizations can make use of a variety of tools that help gather input and feedback from stakeholders. One approach is to hold an information session. This provides stakeholders with background details about the project or plan and ensures that everyone has the same starting knowledge before discussions begin. Another useful tool is arranging meetings, workshops, one-on-one interviews, or focus groups. These create opportunities for deeper conversations where specific concerns or ideas can be explored in more detail. Organizations can also issue invitations for submissions from key stakeholders. This is a formal way to request written input, ensuring that individuals or groups can present their ideas and proposals in a structured format. In addition, feedback mechanisms such as surveys, comment boxes, or digital platforms allow ongoing dialogue. These tools make it possible to collect reactions and suggestions even outside of formal meetings. Finally, communication mechanisms like emails, newsletters, memos, or intranet updates are important to share information widely and consistently. They ensure transparency and give stakeholders the chance to stay updated and respond with their thoughts. By combining these tools, consultation becomes both inclusive and effective, allowing organizations to capture a wide range of perspectives and strengthen the operational plan. Ongoing consultation and feedback consultation is not a one-time activity. It is an ongoing process that should continue throughout the operational planning cycle. The first step is to identify individuals for detailed input based on the specific circumstances or conditions of the organization. For example, if the plan involves introducing new technology, it makes sense to consult IT specialists who can highlight potential challenges and requirements. Next, consultation should be treated as a quality system. This means embedding it into the way the organization works, rather than viewing it as an occasional task. When consultation is ongoing, it ensures that changes, risks, and new opportunities are always taken into account. Finally, it is important to seek feedback regularly as changes occur. Operational plans often evolve over time. By continuously gathering feedback, organizations can adjust their actions, improve effectiveness, and maintain stakeholder support. Feedback management gathering. Feedback is only valuable if it is managed properly. Feedback management ensures that the insights collected from stakeholders actually improve the operational plan. The first step is to review all feedback carefully. Not every suggestion will be practical or relevant, but within the feedback, there will be valuable ideas that can strengthen the planning process. For example, employees might highlight inefficiencies in a workflow that management had not considered, offering opportunities for improvement. The second step is to communicate the selected ideas back to stakeholders. This step is critical as it shows that input has been taken seriously and demonstrates how it has influenced the plan. Even when some ideas are not adopted, stakeholders will appreciate understanding the reasons why. The outcomes of the consultation process. Once consultation has taken place, it's important to communicate the outcomes back to stakeholders. This step not only shows respect for their contributions, but also reinforces transparency in the planning process. One way to do this is through formal methods, such as a written report. A good report should be short, clear, and concise. It should outline what the consultation process looked like, what feedback was received, and most importantly, how that feedback has been integrated into the operational plan for improvements. This provides a record of accountability and ensures stakeholders can see the direct impact of their input. Another option is to use informal methods, such as emails or team meetings. These are often quicker and more conversational, making them ideal for keeping people updated on progress or small changes without the need for a full report. By using both formal and informal methods, organizations can ensure that outcomes are communicated effectively, keeping stakeholders engaged and supportive of the plan. The outcomes of the consultation process. In addition to planning activities, resources, and consultation, an operational plan must also comply with legislative and regulatory frameworks. Compliance is not optional. It is a legal and ethical requirement that protects both the organization and its stakeholders. When developing and implementing the operational plan, managers need to ensure that all activities adhere to the relevant laws and regulations. Two of the most important areas are fair trading laws and work health and safety, WHS. or Occupational Health and Safety, OHS. By embedding compliance into the operational plan, organizations reduce the risk of legal breaches, financial penalties, or reputational damage. More importantly, they demonstrate a commitment to fairness, safety, and accountability. Fair trading laws. When selling a product or service, organizations must comply with fair trading regulations. These laws exist to ensure that all parties in the marketplace are treated fairly and that consumer rights are fully protected. First, fair trading laws safeguard consumer rights and guarantees. This means that customers have the right to expect that goods and services will be safe, accurately described, and fit for their intended purpose. Second, these laws ensure that trading is fair for both businesses and customers. For example, in Australia, both federal and state laws work together to protect businesses and consumers from unfair trading practices. This includes misleading advertising, dishonest sales techniques, or unfair contract terms. By following these laws, businesses are able to operate fairly and competitively, while ensuring that customers are properly informed and protected. This not only builds trust with consumers, but also strengthens the organization's reputation in the market. Finally, fair trading legislation helps to prevent unethical restrictions on competition. This means businesses must understand their rights and responsibilities, avoiding practices that would give them an unfair advantage or harm competitors. The Competition and Consumer Act 2010. One of the most important laws supporting fair trading in Australia is the Competition and Consumer Act 2010. This is a national law that regulates how businesses deal with customers, competitors, and suppliers. Its purpose is to ensure that all market interactions are carried out fairly, transparently, and ethically. The Act plays a central role in promoting fair competition. It ensures that businesses compete on a level playing field, preventing practices that harm competitors or mislead consumers. At the same time, it provides strong protection to ensure that consumers are treated honestly and fairly. The law is enforced and administered by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, or the ACCC, alongside the state and territory regulators. These bodies are responsible for monitoring compliance, investigating complaints, and taking action against breaches of the law. The Competition and Consumer Act 2010. The Competition and Consumer Act 2010 covers a wide range of areas to ensure fairness and transparency in business practices. Let's look at its main areas of coverage, including unfair market practices, industry codes, mergers and acquisitions of companies, product safety, collective bargaining, product labeling, price monitoring, and industry regulation, such as airports, electricity, gas, and telecommunications. Together, these areas of coverage highlight the Act's role in protecting consumers, supporting healthy competition, and promoting ethical business behavior across Australia. Fair trading laws in your state or territory. While the Competition and Consumer Act 2010 sets out national laws, it's also important to remember that each state and territory has its own fair trading legislation. These local laws provide additional protections for consumers, often addressing issues specific to the region. For businesses, this means it's not enough to simply comply with federal legislation. Organizations that sell goods or services must also be familiar with and follow the local state or territory fair trading laws that apply in their area. For example, while federal law provides broad protections, a state or territory law may add extra requirements around refunds, advertising, or service standards. Failure to comply with these local rules could lead to penalties and damage to the organization's reputation. Work health and safety, WHS. Another essential compliance area within operational planning is work health and safety, often referred to as Occupational Health and Safety, or OHS. At its core, work health and safety is about the management of risks to the health and safety of employees in the workplace. Every organization has a duty of care to ensure that work environments are safe and that potential hazards are identified and controlled. But work health and safety is not just about employees. It also covers the health and safety of anyone connected to your workplace, including customers, visitors, and suppliers. For instance, If a client visits your office, they should be confident that the environment is safe and free from risks such as unsafe equipment or trip hazards. By integrating work health and safety principles into the operational plan, organizations can create a safer, healthier, and more productive workplace for everyone involved. In conclusion, an operational plan is the important link between an organization's strategic goals and its day-to-day activities, providing clarity on objectives, resources, timelines, risks, consultation, and compliance. By carefully designing and implementing this plan, businesses can ensure efficiency, accountability, and resilience, while also protecting the well-being of employees, customers, and stakeholders. Thank you for joining today's session. I hope you find these insights useful in your professional journey.